Why are Zoom towns facing the greatest risk in the housing market, and what does that mean for you? This video will answer both questions. Because of the pandemic and the lockdown, employers were forced to allow employees to work from home. After it became crystal clear COVID was going to be a long-term problem, people started breaking the chains of living close to work and started moving to areas with a lower cost of living and a higher comparative quality of life. Some out of town, some out of state. Zoom, the teleconferencing software, was now the primary method of communicating, so Zoom towns were born. Zoom towns became boom towns, and boom, they certainly did. Boise, Idaho median home prices have gone up 63% since the second quarter of 2020. That's from $316 to $499. Austin, Texas median home prices rose 61% from the same period, $358 to $579. Nashville, Tennessee median home prices rose 67% for the same period, $292, $434. Phoenix, Arizona rose 60% for the same period, $206 to $343. And Sacramento rose 72% for the same period, $296 to $410. The reason these cities and cities like them are at risk is because the mechanism that caused them to grow so fast is changing. I almost said gone, but that's not accurate. Because of inflation, cost of living is up everywhere. Mortgage rates today are over 6%, pushing thousands of buyers off the fence into the let's wait and see what happens category. And the next domino to fall will be waiting to see what employers will do about working from home. If employers clamp down on coming back to the office, that'll put long-distance remote workers in a tough spot unless they choose to find another occupation. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, says he has the answer to inflation: bring workers back to the office. BlackRock manages $10 trillion and made $20 billion in revenue in 21. So to say Larry has clout is an understatement. Company owners, they're listening. The U.S. is facing a looming recession. The group responsible for naming a particular business cycle recessionary is the National Bureau of Economic Research, and for them, the verdict is still out. They're closely watching the jobs report because apparently that's the final straw and we're calling what we're in a recession. So, why are these boom towns, Zoom towns, why are they at risk? The simple virtue of these cities being less expensive and having a higher quality of life, just when 4.9 million people were suddenly flexible, mobile, and available due to a virus, has caused the opposite to happen. They're now some of the most expensive places to call home. Supply and demand? Now we jump to the next chapter, and inflation means your dollar's worth less. Skyrocketing interest means you can't buy what you thought you could, and the feds have thrown ice water on the housing market to cool down inflation, essentially putting out the flames. In a city where home values have jumped 63% artificially, what do you think will happen as the artificial support structure crumbles? Home prices will likely follow. No one has a crystal ball, but we do have what are called leading indicators. These are market signals that are suggesting a direction of any given market. There's 3 phases of a downturn. Phase 1, prices are generally increasing, but sales volume is declining. And inventory, days on market, price reductions, and expired listings, those are all increasing. For anybody who's paying attention, this is already happening. Phase 2, prices flatten out. Just the other day, Zillow and the others forecasted appreciation for next year, July 2023, to be 2.4%. Coming out at 20% per year increase for a couple of years in a row, if not more, 2.4% is about as flat as you can get without sending people into a panic. Phase 2, in my opinion, that's happening right now. Phase 3, when inventory builds to 7 months or more, meaning it would take 7 months to sell the current stock, this is called the absorption rate, prices start to drop in earnest. Sellers go from motivated to desperate, and buyers go from compliant to demanding. With fewer buyers and pending sales, more homes are staying on the market while new listings continue to add to the inventory. Just because the economy sucks doesn't mean people stop moving. Job changes, life changes, upsizing, downsizing, on and on. People are moving anyway, and inventory will continue to build. Though we aren't in phase 3 yet, tell me you don't see the signals everywhere. In Williamson County, where I live, we went from a house going under contract in just a day or two to now it takes price reductions and a couple of months. This is huge. Just keep an eye on housing inventory. This is going to be our best predictor for phase 3. So what's the bottom line with Zoom towns, boom towns, whatever you want to call them? Across the U.S., 21% of home sellers are dropping their initial asking price to engage buyers. This is the highest since Redfin started keeping track back in 2012. Price drops in July increased in 94 of 97 metros. Home sales fell 20% in July compared to a year ago. Activity has reached the lowest point since the start of the pandemic, when everything literally came to a screeching halt. But pandemic boom towns are by far seeing the worst of it, with Boise seeing 70% homes slashing their prices. Denver slashed 58%, Salt Lake 55%, Phoenix 49%, Austin 46%, and where I live in Williamson County, 27% of all listings reduced their asking price in the last week. Plus, in Nashville, investor activity dropped by 17%. Nashville investors dropping. What? For me, locally, the greatest shift is in new construction. Builders are reducing prices, offering concessions, and I almost couldn't believe it when I saw it, increasing commissions. Because Zoom towns rose the highest the fastest, they have the furthest to fall. I want to be careful how I characterize what may be coming to these cities and towns. To call it a crash would be sensational and overly dramatic at this point. But to call it a major correction, I think that would be fair. Foreclosures and short sales are not at all expected here because there's so much equity built up for most homeowners, even short-term ones. Even if prices drop significantly, they would still be able to sell for a net profit. So what does all this mean to you? It means if you live in a Zoom town, there's a good chance big changes are on the way. If you like this video, please share with family and friends to help me spread the word. Consider subscribing so you'll know when the next video drops. As always, thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon.